Hello GED students, it's GED question of the day time, and I really wanted to get to the point where we were able to divide decimals with the standard algorithm because this could come up on the GED in the first 5 problems where you don't have a calculator. In fact, this is one of their favorites on there. Okay, so dividing decimals. So just to let you know, in the last few videos we've explored why this works. You could check those out if you want to know why this works, but for now we're just going to apply the algorithm, okay? So here we go. Let's remember that this is a dividing by symbol. This says 25, let's see, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So 25 thousandths divided by 5 hundredths. That's what this says. Now, if I were going to work this on paper using that long division symbol that we're so used to, remember that the order has got to switch. You're going to change order when doing a dividing into problem. So the 0.05 would come outside and the 0.025 would come inside. And for those of you who learn to divide decimals in my classroom, hopefully you're screaming right now. I would teach my students to scream because there is a decimal trying to get into the house. You cannot, well, you can, but we don't generally divide by a decimal. It is easier, it's just simpler to divide by a whole number. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump this little decimal right here. I'm going to jump it to the back of this number. So instead of being 5 hundredths, it's just 5 whole things, 5 whole things. Now you might be thinking to yourself, and you'd be right if you were, Kate, you can't just go around changing 5 cents into $5 like it doesn't matter. And you're right. I can't just change a number because I feel like it. Whenever you make a change in math class, there's always a reaction. So what's going to happen here basically is if you change one number in a division problem, you must change the other number the exact same way by the same amount. And this way you're keeping the two things in proportion. As long as they're kept in proportion, you'll get the same answer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this decimal place here. I'm going to jump it the same exact number of times, 2 times, in the same direction to the right. Since I moved this one twice to the right to turn it into a whole number, I'll move this one twice to the right to keep my balance. And what number will I have now? I'll have the number 2.5. And so basically now what I'm doing is putting 5 into 2.5. So remember again wonderfully that even if it doesn't go into the first digit, you can ask yourself if it goes into those two, ignoring the decimal. So does 5 go into 25? Well, it does 5 times. And 5 times 5 is, of course, 25. And I have a 0 remainder. So all I need to do now is float that holy decimal straight up, and I get that the answer here is 0.5. Now, if you're struggling to believe me that I'm right, you can always go back and check your multiplication. You can always go back and check your division by doing the opposite of division, multiplication. Let's try multiplying these two numbers to see if I'd get back to that. So 0.05 times 0.5. Well, hopefully you know that you can multiply just the non-zero. Leave out the leading zeros, multiply just those non-zeros. 5 times 5 is 25. And then count up the number of decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Put in that decimal and a 0, and you can see that does indeed get me right back to 0.025. And so yes, 25 thousandths divided by 5 hundredths is 5 tenths, or 0.5, as students commonly say. Great. If you have any questions about this or any other GED math concept, be sure to drop it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it.